Hello everyone.
Welcome to our stream titled Earth System at Risk, Challenging Environmental Injustice.
First, we want to introduce the stream team.
My name is Giusy Pappalardo. I'm a lecturer and a researcher in urban and regional planning at the University of Catania in Sicily. And I'm part of the Lab for Ecological Planning and Design of the Territory, together with Lizzy. That introduced me to Francesca. And we have started exchanging experiences and ideas on environmental justice and injustice. And so we propose to do this stream together. My research currently focuses on commoning processes related with natural and cultural heritage and the governance structures that aim at empowering the most distressed and marginalized communities. My research approach is based on action research. So I've been engaged with several distressed communities in Sicily, which is my native context, but also in the United States, particularly in the states of Mississippi. And this is how I met the environmental justice movement and concept. And I think this stream will give us the opportunity of putting on the same table different experiences and ideas, which may generate an interesting blend.
My name is Elisa Pivitera, but all call me Lizzy. Me, after a series of Erasmus and study experience abroad, I got a master in building engineering and architecture with a thesis regarding the co-construction of a community urban lab in a distressed district of Catania. Then I attended a specialization course at the UAB of Venice regarding local participatory action. Currently, I am in the second year of my PhD in urban and environmental planning in the course of evaluation and mitigation of urban and land risk at the University of Catania. In the same university, I have been collaborating with the Lab PEAT since 2017, where I have met and worked together with Giusy. And with my PhD thesis, I'm working at the intersection of political ecology, environmental humanities, and planning, with the aim of exploring the hybrid common ground where subaltern communities and engaged research contribute to the planning of contaminated areas. I am focusing on a case of a Sicilian petrochemical town in which contamination issues are intertwined with issues of injustice. That's why the environmental justice lens is very useful to frame my research. In order to learn more on this topic, I have spent one semester during 2019 at the Environmental Humanities Lab of the KTH of Stockholm, and in this occasion I have met Francesca.
My name is Francesca Rosignoli, and I am a postdoctoral fellow at Stockholm University. And my research focuses on climate refugees and how we can use the concept of environmental justice to overcome the legal impasse, since, of course, climate refugees are not recognized at the international level. And I am engaged with the research group Environmental Research in the Human Sciences area. This is a group made up of 5 postdocs and a steering committee. It aims to bridge different disciplines and institutions to create a common multidisciplinary environment within and outside Stockholm University. And I met Lizzy and Giusy during these networking activities. Then the idea of organizing this stream came together. This stream together came spontaneously.
Now that you know something more about us, let's meet the participants.
Hi, my name is Professor Cheryl J. Fish, and I'm a professor of English at Borough of Manhattan Community College, City University of New York, and a docent lecturer at University of Helsinki in the Department of Cultures. I've been in environmental humanities a very long time.
Hello everyone, my name is Miriam Tola. I am an assistant professor in environmental humanities at the University of Lausanne, Switzerland. My research looks at the intersections between gender and race in political imaginaries of the environment. And I am particularly interested in the relationship between gender and environmental justice.
My name is Madeleine Hatz. I'm an artist, and my artistic practice encompasses painting, performance and activism.
Hello, my name is Roberto Cantoni. I'm a Marie Curie postdoctoral researcher in the history of science at the Autonomous University of Barcelona, where I currently work on the transnational production of scientific knowledge within the Italian anti-nuclear movement in the 1970s and 1980s. I'm also an associate researcher at the Center for Sustainable Development at the University of Bonn in Germany, where I work on some socioeconomic analysis of the impact of solar power plants in West Africa.
Hello Streams, my name is Tafadzwa Mishonga. I am a postdoctoral research fellow at the Center for the Advancement of Scholarship at the University of Pretoria in South Africa. I'm working on extractivism and the environment project together with Professor James Ogude.
Abele Longo, program leader for the MA Translation Middlesex University, London. My research interests relate to Italian cinema and literature, audiovisual and literary translation, encompassing perspectives from eco-criticism to environmental education.
Hello, my name is Ulrike Hahn. I am a PhD candidate in Rotterdam, and I'm researching about the role of the visual arts in addressing climate change-related topics.
We asked participants to define environmental justice.
We can discuss upon scientific definitions.
My definition of environmental justice is a definition given by Robert Ballard in one of his works in 2000, namely a fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies.
Environmental injustice is about the creation of sacrificed zones where everything which no one else wants is placed, with little or no consideration for the people who live in these areas.
Environmental injustice can be described in numerous ways. For me, when resource-dependent people are excluded, and violently so, from accessing resources that contribute to their well-being, that is environmental injustice.
I define environmental injustice as uneven, unbalanced values and concerns with everybody's right to health, safety, peace, where we live, work, play, and pray. That's environmental justice.
As a feminist scholar and activist, I think of environmental justice as a key framework for challenging situated forms of expanded extractivism that target gender and racialized bodies and the environments they depend on.
It's a holistic approach to how we live on the planet and how we should care for species other than human as well as our own.
I guess that facing extinction of life is an environmental injustice in the extreme. I feel it's important though to when we think of environment to realize, to keep in mind that we are part of the environment. The environment is not separate from us. We are part of this thin layer, the crust of the earth with the atmosphere, which is the outer layer of the globe. And we're destroying it, we're killing ourselves, starting with the most vulnerable.
You have just heard some definitions of environmental justice and injustice.
But personal experiences give a deeper understanding of what we are talking about.
I've been in environmental humanities a very long time. Ever since 9/11, 2001, when the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center happened, and I live right near there and had to evacuate with my 2-year-old son, and it was a crazy, traumatic experience, and the environment we were not told the truth about the toxicity of returning, and of course the many first responders have been dying of cancers all these years later. So I got very interested in the connection between how we tell stories and narratives of toxicity and how the media portrays, the mainstream media portrays growth and development and money over the embodied experiences of people.
I engaged with the environmental justice as I have lived part of my life in a territory that was deeply affected by environmental and political injustice. This is a region of South Italy where a disastrous coalition of interests between politics, entrepreneurs, and the mafia led to disastrous consequences for a land that was once known for its natural diversity and beauty.
One of the many reasons that I have engaged with environmental justice is that I come from the Salento region, the south of Italy, where the effects of overexposure to the fumes emitted by factories and power stations continues to cause an extremely high incidence of lung and blood cancer.
My interest to engage with the topic are really informed by the increasing number of cases related to environmental injustices across the world, the consequences of which are not only problematic to human beings, but to the environment itself.
I was awakened to this topic in 1982 in New York City when I saw the film Koyanitskatsi. Koyanitskatsi, the word means in Hopi language, means life out of balance. It showed in slow motion and in speeded up images of destruction of the natural world. And I thought that this film was going to make the world wake up and change. Now it's decades later. Now in 2018, Extinction Rebellion was formed. It's an international movement, environmental movement that uses civil disobedience. I joined last summer and I started the performance group Red Rebel Stockholm as part of XR Sweden. And since then we've been performing wherever Extinction Rebellion has had street actions, just like other Red Rebels around the world are doing.
As noted by many participants, environmental justice is shaped by collective experiences of injustice, and it is easier talking about environmental injustice than environmental justice.
Do you want to know more about what is going on next year? Here's just a taste of what to expect.
I'm currently looking at how colonialism and environmental injustice intersect in Sami areas, but also now I'm back in North America looking at indigenous art, like at Standing Rock, and in Peru, an art collective called Amapole that does textile manufacturing as resistance. And now at the Black Lives Matter movement taking off here in the States and elsewhere, there's been amazing artivism, murals, and say their names. So I'm going to be continuing to look at the intersections of race, social class, indigenous people and allies, how we can all, if we're not of a Black or an indigenous background, how we can work together in coalitions. So I'm continuing to focus on eco-media, artivism in transnational coalition building.
And I will talk a little bit about the politics of exclusion and violence in and around protected areas in Zimbabwe.
At the conference, I'll be presenting on energy injustice in Burkina Faso in West Africa, where the largest solar power plant of West Africa was built in 2017. And in particular, I will focus on the role of scale in technical configurations.
At the Streams Conference, I am planning to present a paper on the convergences between feminist and climate justice movement. Focusing on Italy, I will explore how the rise of climate strikes has compelled local feminist networks to address the intersections between gender and climate justice, and in turn, how climate strikers have been adopting the feminist language of intersectionality.
And during the conference, I will talk a bit about the challenges in climate change communication. For example, because of that spatial diffusion of climate change effects and causes. And I will show some data-driven visualizations, for example, the ones that you see behind me, which are addressing the topic of water in particular.
My paper is on the Italian activist, educationalist and poet Danilo Dolci. The aim is to discuss how Dolci's method for collective action, his reciprocal maieutic approach, is reflected and highlighted in his poetic work, and how poetry itself can be seen, according to Dolci, as a form of activism. As a test, here are some of Dolci's most famous lines, followed by my translation. La città nuova comincia dove un bambino impara a costruire, provando a rimpastare sabbia e sogni inarrivabili. The new city starts where a child learns how to build, trying to mold sudden dreams that are unreachable.
The idea behind this stream is to give a sense of environmental justice by answering the question which environmental justice can be born out of the injustices we experience.
So for me, the just thing to do then is to act.
And how can we collectively act?
We look forward to meeting you next year in Stockholm.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone, and I look forward to see you all at the Streams Conference.
I look forward to streaming streams, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye. See you soon.